Now, Friends, of course, has had multiple lives, be it on streaming and, of course, way back when on free television. It was one of the last shared TV experiences before the culture split in 1,000 different ways. And, of course, Matthew Perry, one of its stars, has died in the past few days. We'll learn more about exactly what took his life, be it his own behaviour, accident, or who knows, right? But what have you thought of the reaction to it?
Well, I was very sad because I think that show was peaking just as I was coming of age. You know, I was about 23 years old, I think, 22, around there when it launched, and I watched
You're still
it
peaking, mate. Come on. You peak every week.
Maybe in some other ways, like around the belly region. Maybe peaking out. In any event,
Sorry.
So I loved it, and I loved the character of Chandler Bing that Matthew Perry played, like so many others did. I mean, his comedic timing, the way he used his inflection on his certain words. You know, could I be any more? Could she be any more out of my league? Things like that. Things that we say to this day that we don't necessarily know we got from him. Incredibly clever, good looking. And to me, it's a very sad story about, again, something we talked about last week when we talked about Britney, fame, and in his case, addiction. He was very open in an interview he gave to the New York Times a year ago when his book launched about how he got down on his hands and knees 3 weeks before he was cast in Friends and begged the Lord, begged for him to make him famous, super famous. It's what he wanted more than anything. And we see how fulfilling that was for him. Not at all. Fame fills absolutely no voids. It solves absolutely no problems. It only creates them. Fame should never be your goal. If you're going for fame, you're going for the wrong thing. If it happens to be an after effect of you pursuing your dream of being an amazing actor or singer or football player, that's a different story. Then you can learn how to manage it. But seeking fame for fame's sake is seeking fool's gold. I mean, it's completely empty when you get it. And on the subject of addiction, it makes me so sad, Paul, because clearly this thing got a hold of him when he was very young. He shot that show between 24 and 34, I think. And he was addicted almost the entire time. He said the only year he was not in active addiction was the year that he actually got nominated for a Best Actor Emmy because he got it together and his acting reached new depths. So it wasn't helping him. It was undermining him. And it was spinning out of control like that monster always does. And in his case, he said publicly that in 2002, he basically licked his active addiction. So for 20 years, he said with some pop-ups, you know, I mean, some relapses here and there, he had been managing it okay, but he had done so much damage to his body. He had a colonoscopy. He had, I think, part of his colon removed. He had massive heart failure to the point where 4 to 5 people who went through what he went through die. It was a miracle he lived. And he had beaten up his body so much that even if he was sober when he died, and we'll find out from the toxicology reports at some point soon, I believe it was almost certainly the addiction that ultimately killed him. It had done so much damage to his body. It's just like the challenge in overcoming it had to be enormous. And I think most of us know somebody who's suffering with addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol or something else. And as a mother, my only takeaway on this is, my God, it is so important to say to your kids, don't start. Don't start. Don't take the first drug. Don't take the first pill. Don't take any pill offered to you if it's not from your doctor and in a controlled amount and approved by him in the one bottle and managed. If you see any signs of your child spinning out of control once they come of age when it comes to drinking, intervene early and aggressively, the same way you would if you saw your daughter wasting away and becoming an anorexic. You wouldn't sit by and let her go 3 years weighing 90 pounds when she should weigh 130 pounds. This, too, needs to have aggressive interventions at an early age, and it needs society to be more committed to families, like we talked about last week. Matthew Perry, I think, was lost at the time he went to Hollywood. He remained lost, and even though he was surrounded by so many friends, he never managed to find himself until he wound up in recovery. And he wound up saying, Paul, that he hoped his legacy would not be that show, even though it made him famous and it made him very rich. And it brought a lot of people a lot of joy. He hoped his legacy would be the hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people he helped by coming clean on his addiction. And what a scourge, what a monster it was for him. Just don't start. And as soon as you start to feel it spinning out of control, get help early.
Well, also, we hear this a lot, in those celebrity documentaries about somebody's life, and inevitably the comedian who died in their 30s or somebody whose life ends too soon. And somebody always turns around and says, well, he was only 54, but geez, didn't he get a lot of life into 54? No. This idea that you can take the fullness of what is meant to be your natural life, and it's okay if you go early if you got lots in. You're meant to be going for a fulfilling life, which is as long as you can physically get there. I say this is the fat guy and a smoker, but still, the point is that you've got to have love in your life, and real love. Now, he can have love where he walked out onto the street and everyone would know him. He could walk into a bar and everyone would know him. His social media would be full of likes, clicks, and people telling him how much they loved him. But the reality was, in his life, relationships didn't work. He didn't have people around him who loved him for him, because a lot of these people came to his life after he became famous. And I know that it's certainly the way you play your life. It's the way I try to play my life, which is to try to have, a very significant core of people who remember you way back when, because they're the people that are going to be there for you when all of the rest of it goes away.
So true. He never married. He never had children. As far as I know, he never had a deeply serious relationship with anybody that lasted years and years. So he was missing those fundamental connections that make getting out of bed in the morning worthwhile. And even with the heights of his career, that did not fill the voids of, missing love, missing children, missing an important cause. Ironically, it was his addiction that ultimately gave him some cause, the challenge of helping others. But you're absolutely right. Like, the family, that's my shield, my guard, my armor against everything. That's why nothing anybody writes about me in the paper, says about me on TV, can really do that much damage. I'm good. I've inoculated myself. And that's my goal for my kids, and I want it to be other people's goals for their kids. Inoculate your kids and the people you love against all the crap life is going to throw at them. Because you don't have to be on TV like you or me to have stuff like this come your way. Most addicts aren't. But just people will be nasty. You won't get the promotions you want. You won't get the things that you deserve, you think you deserve. People will treat you unfairly, and you can mire yourself in that word unfair. It's such a toxic word. Truly, it's a deeply damaging word which needs to be replaced in your head almost at once. If you surround yourself with people who laugh at your jokes, with people who make some good-natured fun at you, right? Who are there for you on Christmas morning, who celebrate with a dumb cake, which is almost meaningless to you other than you're in the presence of people you love on your birthday, right? Even if you don't like cake, that's not the point. It's ceremony, it's ritual, it's annual connection with the people who are there year after year after year. That stuff matters. Fame doesn't. Even money doesn't. Did it fill any void for him? Right? Look around at his other cast members from Friends. Jennifer Aniston, she has a failed marriage to Brad Pitt, but she's still starring in movies. She's got this blossoming career. She's in very much demand. That could have been him. But even his career wound up imploding for the most part because this animal got him. And it was very hard to get it off of him once it got its claws into him. Right? So back to my earlier message of early intervention, be aggressive. This is not a casual thing. When someone finds himself becoming addicted, in his case, I think it was first to alcohol, and to drugs, it must be taken deadly seriously because it is deadly.
Strength and love to everyone who's battling any such thing, family members or even yourself watching us right now. Strength and love, reach out to the people who love you, because I promise you there's somebody in your life who does love you for who you are and will help you through the darkness, sadly, the darkness that can get very damn difficult. Let's talk a bit of politics now. The Iowa poll that's come out from the Des Moines Register, they're pretty much bang on here, and they say that Trump is likely to win in Iowa, but it's not the 50-point margin, and he's not over 50%, meaning theoretically there's someone who could end up being the not Trump, but there's still 100 people trying to be not Trump.
It's very interesting. So Trump is at 43% in this Iowa poll. This is the gold standard poll. And his next closest competitors are Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, who are both tied at 16, which is more ahead than he was in the last poll. His number 46, or whatever he is, 43, is higher than he was in the last poll, which was 42. So he's going up despite all the crap that's been thrown at him. DeSantis went down. Nikki Haley went up 10 points. So she's on a bit of a roll. And it'll be interesting to see, like in a month and a half, 2 months, by the time we get to Iowa and New Hampshire in January, if her train keeps going the way it's going, she's going to be up here. And DeSantis is going to be done. He'll be off. Nobody else in the poll put any number on the board that was worth even mentioning. But if you look at all of the not Trump vote, it equals 51, which last time I checked is higher than 43. So the not Trump vote in Iowa is higher than the Trump vote. So it's back to the problem that the not Trump voters have faced all along, which is you need consolidation or you're screwed. You need to convince everyone to drop out other than one strong candidate, or it's going to be Trump. And no one has been willing to do that. Vice President Pence, he dropped out over the weekend. Okay, it was a bit of a surprise. People thought he would try to last till Iowa. But no, he dropped out. You got all these hangers on. Burgum's got 3. Hutchinson's still in the race. Did you know that? He's still in the race. Yeah. He's got 1%. Ramaswamy's got 4. He's flatlining. Christie's at 4. He's down 1%. My God, Christie. You got Tim Scott, who's higher in Iowa than he is anywhere else with 7%. He's down 1. And DeSantis dropping points, I think 2 points. No, down 3 from his last time in this poll. His big PAC has told him, you're not out, but we're not going to spend any more on you. We're not going to say never, but right now we're not spending. It's not good for DeSantis. I mean, he's seriously struggling. He has failed to catch fire. Haley's got something going on, but forget it unless they all get out. These Trump voters are firm. That 43% is firmly behind him. In fact, I said nobody's got this kind of it's Trump or no one support since George W. Bush, who I think was the only one who had the lead before Thanksgiving that went on to actually win Iowa in all Republican modern history. Well, Donald Trump is in that same position, leading before Thanksgiving, then going into Iowa. But he's up over where George W. Bush was at this point in his candidacy by, I think, 20 points. So he's crushing by all measures. And here's what I want to say about it. It's self-fulfilling, the snowballing of Trump's success. He's becoming truly like the snowball that grows and grows and grows. The more it rolls and goes downhill or uphill or sideways, whichever way it goes, it gets bigger. And the more stuff they throw at Trump, the harder it is for him to get the nomination. This massive civil case trying to ruin his business, 4 criminal indictments, which actually might put him in jail before the election in 2024. Go down the list of the controversies. The bigger he gets, the more he doesn't roll over, fall down, and stay down, the more inevitable he seems, the stronger he seems, the more formidable, the more people admire his strength and see, oh my God, he's the only one who can do it. And so I've now gotten to the point, Paul, where I'm starting to believe that he actually could be convicted of a crime. The likelihood is he will be convicted of a crime by November 2024.
Absolutely.
He actually could be in prison running. It's unlikely he's going to be in prison, actually, but it's possible. And he actually could win because of that snowball. He's so formidable. Nothing can stop him. I want to back a winner. He's the only one who can change our country, change my life, get us on the right path, deal with Iran, stand up to Hamas and Russia and all of it. All of it is having that effect. So it all inures to Trump's benefit.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I mean, I personally think that, DeSantis' moment, well and truly gone. He should have dropped out a long time ago. His future should be playing out the 4 years as governor, finding the way to take over one of the Senate spots. He's young enough, and then go again in a few years' time. So I really think Nikki Haley is going to be the other lane here. Her very strong support for the Ukraine war is going to essentially be one of the great dividers. But establishment Republicans, if they want to pick someone, they've got to pick it now, because it's not going to matter once you get to Iowa and New Hampshire. But you're right. And also, unbelievably, don't forget, he won't turn up to debates. He doesn't do interviews, and all of that in some ways kind of adds to the sheen. So won't it be amazing that it'll be Biden running around the country falling up the stairs versus Trump, who may well be in the basement under home arrest? God love America.
Well, you know what? You know what else, Paul? Here's the other thing. I mean, I think Trump, I understand why he's not doing the debates, et cetera, but let's query what the Republicans are actually getting. Because it's one thing to be on prompter and read a speech and make your funny jokes, which Trump is very good at. But it's another to stand up and actually fight with these people and defend your positions and show people how mentally quick you still are or aren't. Is this a fear of his? I don't know. But I think he does need to show to the Republican audience that he's capable. And I realize Joe Biden's not going to want to debate. I get it. He's probably going to find 10 different reasons why he can't debate, especially if it's Trump. Oh, he's an insurrectionist. He's a convicted felon. Never mind. I'm not putting myself against him. But this is about the country, our policies, our future. We deserve to know how strong our leader is, how mentally facile he is, whether he's still got all of his faculties together, whether it's Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or anybody else. So at some point, it does become a big middle finger to the voters for Trump not to put himself out there in any forum other than in front of a teleprompter. He's got to do it. And if Joe Biden's not going to do it, with him and a general, I think he owes it to the public, or at least the Republican Party should be demanding that he do it at some point in this Republican debate and primary cycle.
Yeah, I agree completely. Megyn, if only we could vote for you. Lovely to talk to you. We'll talk to you again next week.
See you next week, Paul. Bye.